judgment, a ceiling. My work is on the water. Free diving, throw no line is how I survive. Listen, from foggy to yellow.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to On Duty. I am your host, Superintendent Leonard Ramsey. On Duty is a program of the Royal Bahamas Police Force designed to enlighten and educate the public on how we operate, the standards to which we hold ourselves, and the systems in place to ensure transparency and accountability. Today's discussion centers on child protection. We will explore what it means, how it affects policing, and what you need to know as members of the public. Before we begin, it is important to understand why this topic matters. It is an area that often raises questions, and today we aim to provide clarity and accurate information. Joining me today is Inspector Joel Gray from the Sexual Offenses Section of the Criminal Investigations Department. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Ms. Gray, tell us about yourself and tell us your duties and your role at the Sexual Offenses Section.
Well, I am a 18-year. I am a 18-year veteran. Having joined this noble establishment, since joining, I have 17 years at the Sexual Offenses Unit and attached to the Criminal Investigation Department. There, I supervise as well as investigate all matters in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas relating to sexual offenses, also those in trafficking in persons, missing exploited persons, and all forms of abuse relating to children.
So, what kind of training did you have? You have any in-house training and international training?
I have both local training and international training in sexual offenses, sexual assaults. I am a part of the Violent Crime Against Children International Task Force for the FBI. I am one of two persons who was trained in that and sit on a board with other countries where we share and collaborate reference to solving training as it relates to sexual assaults, cyber crimes. I also receive training in trafficking in persons, cyber crime against children, sexual abuse, sexual violence, all aspects reference to children abuse, exploitation, all those forms internationally as well as locally.
So, you said you covered entire Bahamas. So, in essence, you can be called upon any minute to deal with a matter in Auckland, Crooked Island, anywhere in the Bahamas?
Yes. We go from, except the Northern Bahamas, Grand Bahama covers the Northern Bahamas regions, the Abacos and Bimini's, but everywhere else, yes, we will be called upon to investigate or to assist with the investigation.
Okay, for our listening audience, let's start by tell us what constitutes child abuse, neglect, or cruelty according to our Bahamian law.
According to Bahamian law, we go under the Child Protection Act, which outlines child abuse, the physical, sexual, the emotional, the verbal, the mental, the financial, all forms of exploitation, harm, injury to child body, their mind, even their spirit.
That's a lot of work, Ms. Gray.
Yes.
You must be pretty much tasked. And for the entire Bahamas, give us a compliment of your staff. That's in particular the Sexual Offenses Unit. What's the compliment of your
The
staff?
Sexual Offenses Unit is headed by, we have Superintendent Gilbert, we have ASP Bowles, myself, Sergeant Valson, Constable Johnson, and Constable Taylor.
Wow. And you deal with the entire country.
Yes, sir.
I must say you very rarely get sleep or get any time off because these matters come in any hour, any time of the week. Weekend, you barely have much time for yourself, but you do it anyhow.
Yes, sir. We are also complemented by those we cross-trained with missing exploited section, where we have the same senior heads of department. So therefore, we cross-train in that area where those officers gather experience in both aspects of the missing person and sexual assaults to more or less to help us service the members of the public in a timely manner and bring those matters to court.
According to our law, what laws are in place to protect our children and from a physical or corporal punishment in the Bahamas? Or maybe you could tell us like some of the offenses at the same time that you would experience over the years, or you would maybe charge persons with.
Well, namely, we go under for the Sexual Offences Act, which covers the indecent assaults, sexual assaults for juvenile, the unlawful sexual intercourse with minors for under 14 years of age. For those between the ages of 14 to 16 years of age, then you have the rapes, the incest, the procurement, you have the abduction of unmarried person. That relates to persons that's over the age of 16. We class them as the runaways who tend to leave home and go with adults and who are not encouraged to attend schools or not attend to return home to their residence. So we have those classifications for that. We have householders permitting defilement of children. That's those adults who allow young kids to come to their house, engage in sexual intercourse. We have in fail to report abuse.
Oh.
So the Sexual Offences Act covers practically everything, abduction.
I listened to you very attentively, and I think most of our listening audience are maybe familiar with most of the offenses you mentioned, except maybe the procurement. Could you just briefly explain what that is or what that offense is?
So procurement, other people would probably know it as in the American vernacular term, they call it grooming, but it's more or less that when you're soliciting or Bahamian terms, begging, trying to have intercourse through payment with a young person, where it is through electronic means. You're trying to pay them, get them to engage in sexual intercourse with you.
I understand. And I think a lot of persons maybe are ignorant to that, actually.
Yes.
And I've seen over the years the indecent assault. Persons, I guess, sometimes casually engage in it and they believe maybe it's okay. But they find eventually they can, in fact, be prosecuted for it. My next questions to you are: what are the common signs a child may be experiencing abuse or neglect?
Well, you'll see them sometimes. Some children show that they are withdrawn. If you look at their parents, some kids go from being, bubbly and jovial to being timid, scared. You see their parents. Sometimes they look disheveled. Their lack of sleep. Sometimes you see them in class. They may be, falling to sleep. They may see them hungry or always crying, scared.
So, hearing all of these, hearing these signs, the institution of society, we have the educational system, we have the church, we have maybe a neighbor. If they see these signs or identify these signs, what do you suggest that they do?
I suggest that they could call somebody. They could speak to the child to find out exactly what's going on, intervene in it, and if they confirm that, hey, yes, something is unbeknownst is happening to this child, then report it. You could call 919, call Crime Sisters. You could go into a police station, and the Mandatory Reporting Act under both the Child Protection Act and the Sexual Offences Act, it mandates adults, regardless of your profession, to report the matter.
And if they fail to?
If they fail to report the abuse, then they'll be liable and could be prosecuted.
Okay. I want you to say that again. If they fail to?
If they fail to report the abuse of a child, they'll be liable and prosecuted.
So is there a process? Should they automatically come to the police station, or they have options? Can they go straight to social services? Is there a reporting guideline or something in place?
Persons could report if they don't want to be known exactly. They could, like I said, they could call in. The law allows for them to do it anonymously, and no prosecution will befall them if they call in and they just wish to pass the information. And the information will be taken with the strictest of confidence and, of course, be investigated. The law allows for that.
I'm happy that you said that, because there are some persons in our country who might have this mindset, it's none of my business. That's Mary Lou or John Giles.
Yes.
Let me mind my own business. But we have a responsibility as Bahamian citizens, as human beings, to protect our precious darling, our precious pearls, whatever you want to refer to them as. And I think it is the right thing to do. To report an abuse, no matter who it is or where it is. It should be called out. And like you said, the good option is you can be anonymous.
Yes.
You don't have to say who you are. The whole objective is that the information needs to be reported and something needs to be done.
Yes.
You know,
now the flip side to that is if you make a false report, the law
you're making
will
a false
say
report.
Making a report false, you will be prosecuted for that.
Yes, I understand you. I hope they understand that are listening. Viewers, please, you have to tell the truth. You cannot go there and report something, and because you're actually affecting somebody else's character.
Yes, you are.
You know, and of course, them get arrested, and at the end of the day, it's proven it's not so. Even cause even civil actions.
Yes.
So that is pretty much clear.
So
what role are you saying? Something? Go ahead.
Mandatory. The classification, it breaks down who all has the responsibility, whether professions under the Healthcare Act.
Go ahead.
All those in the Healthcare Act, the doctors, the nurses, the psychologists, you have even police officers, you are mandated. We are mandated to report it. Teachers, guidance counselors.
Yes.
All those persons, who have care, charge, control of a child, they have a duty to report any form of abuse.
Understood. So what role do police play investigating child abuse in the Bahamas? What is the exact role once it's reported this, step by step?
Well, once it's reported to us, we take charge as the investigative arm, reference to solving that matter, bringing that matter to expedient closure, ensuring that any proper medical care that needs to be done is done with that child, all relevant reports, statements, even evaluation. In some instances, based on the age of the child, or some children may be, autistic, special needs, the vulnerable children that needs the special care and attention. If there's any psychological trauma or damage,
those needs also.
Yeah, those needs have to be taken care of.
So you do this in conjunction with other agencies like social services. You have that direct communication to them, and
of course, every matter involving children must be reported with social service, and we work hand in hand, because if there's a need that the child has to be removed from that environment, of course we have to work with social service, because that is their role, to take charge, reference to that, going in and ensuring that the house is safe, the environment is safe, or even placement. If they have to take that child away, place them in a temporary home, a foster home, of course they have to take the lead in that while we continue with the investigative part of it. So we do work close with them, the Red Cross, Salvation Army, all of those entities that where we need assistance, we have to reach out to them, and they do help.
I have a question. I know in the past, I don't know if you still do it, you can correct me or bring some clarity. I know recently we have a lot of kids that run away. There will be a lot of reason why they're in fact running away. What is the police role in cases of where, I guess in the past, or maybe we still do, that we term young kids as runaways or uncontrollable? This is the word I really want to use. Are the police still directly responsible to deal with these matters, or these matters are dealt with by social services?
Social service now take the frontline rule, reference to runaway kids, in terms of doing a home investigation, as well as we do as well. Of course, we have to search for them, and then we also have to find out the root cause as to what's going on.
Okay.
So of course we have to investigate in conjunction with social service, because they have their mandate as to, of course, finding out as well what's going on in the home, the root cause. And if that means to, again, moving that child from that home, that's where they come into play. And of course, if something criminal is being done towards the child, of course, that's where we come in, as to if there's any sexual activity, any abuse, anything. So of course, that form of investigation will then continue and bring charges where they may. But of course, we work hand in hand, reference to that, to find out exactly what is the cause. Because at the end of the day, the welfare and the safety of the child is paramount to us. And finding out exactly, it's not just trying to investigate to arrest somebody, but really finding out what's going on with the child, what's disrupting their education, what's disrupting, why they're out in the street rather than being in a safe shelter. So
what happens when there's a child? I mean, you might have experienced a case like this, I don't know. A child is repeatedly running away. Your department and social services have engaged the family. There appears to be no reason or no underlying reason that your investigation proved that why this child is running away. There's nothing criminal happening in the home, but the child is just running away for their own personal reasons. And I think we have seen that. And what do you do? Just continue your role as to investigate. You just
no,
what happens? Go ahead.
Okay, so again, we work with social service, and once we both come to the conclusion that having exhausted all avenue as
Yes.
trying to determine exactly what is the root cause, and we find out that there really is none. It's just that whether there is a discipline issue or trying to be rebellious, reference to the discipline the parents or guardian may be trying to put forward, then the recommendation is given that at this point, child seem to be uncontrollable, because parents do have the right, of course, once they deem that, hey, after I can no longer control this child, that the next avenue is present them social service. Social service will do a custody order or care order and have them placed before the magistrate, who will then commit them to one of the either Simpson Pen or William A. Pratt home, because once you refuse to adhere to the rules of your parents and you continually abscond with no regard, then you will be placed in one of the state homes.
Understood.
And so that happens.
Are there any other challenges in your investigation as relates to that's child abuse generally that you face as a law enforcement officer? Challenges like cause you to, I guess, delay or hinder you doing your duties?
The time it's reported. Sometimes is the lateness, of course, by the time as the incident is reported.
You're referring to the person that reporting, the parent or
right,
or whoever.
Or whoever is reporting. Sometimes the child is already, by the time is discovered, sometimes the injury or the wounds probably done heal. Maybe this child was burnt like 2-3 weeks ago. But of course, a teacher just now noticing after the child, remove a garment of clothing, they now seeing this big scar, and then the question is, but how you got this? Or maybe a child was missing for a whole, week or so from school, and teacher inquire, well, what happened? What made you sick? And then the child will reveal that, hey, okay, I was home because mommy beat me or daddy beat me with the pipe and stuff like that. So by the times it come to us now, you're looking at some form of evidence, the broken skin, things like that. And then of course it is exactly, if it's in the case of a baby or a child who is not able to properly articulate when and where did this actually happen, because now that child is unable to really speak and say. And then the parents will say, well, I took them to the babysitter, or I took them to the nursery and I didn't notice it, or I don't know who do it. So now in terms of you trying to establish who is at fault for the harm of this child. So in terms of the delay of the abuse, sometimes may hinder the investigation. Yes.
So what laws in the Bahamas to protect our children?
We have the Child Protection Act, Sexual Offences Act.
And how does the Bahamian justice system handle witnesses or victims who are abused in these cases?
Of course, our justice system have if you go to the Attorney General office, they have the victim care section. So if there is a child witness that comes into play, you have the utmost care given to them. Of course, the magistrate or the justice will first, social service have to be brought on. Some report will have to be given, reference to the status of the child, reference to the matter at hand. Also a psychological evaluation done to determine is this child fit or deemed necessary to give evidence, to present evidence in court, and exactly what is going on with them. So they receive the utmost.
But the welfare of the child is paramount.
Yes.
Welfare is key. So what are the consequences of individuals found guilty of child abuse or neglect in the Bahamas?
So you have.
And how often did you find, and additionally, how often that you, I guess, find sufficient evidence to prosecute such persons? Is it prevalent or is it not so much?
I think if you look in the media recently, you see a lot of people have been getting placed before the court reference, because there's a thin line between abuse and discipline.
Okay.
When it comes to breaking skin, breaking bones, scars, all those type things, that's more on the abuse side. And you still have some people, some members of the public that believe that that's the proper way to go. But of course, the law states clearly under the Child Protection Act, cruelty to children, that even if you assault a child, you could slap them. Any form of you expose them to any pictures or things that cause mental derangement. So any act of that is considered cruelty to children, and you will face before magistrate court a fine of $5,000, 3 years imprisonment, or if you go before the Supreme Court, you'll get $10,000, 5 years imprisonment, or both.
It's great. I'm hearing you. I have to reflect back on my own upbringing. And, listening to you, I am convinced, well, most family are in this. Most of us who were brought up in this, what we refer back then as discipline home. I listening to you, what you're saying now, I don't know if my grandparents knew if the law was what it is now then, because maybe all of them would have been prosecuted, So you're saying to me now, let me just, for our listening audience who may be still disciplined in this form and fashion, you're saying that Mary Lou, who lives in, example, Snuggon, Acklands, who wishes to cut a branch of a tamarind tree and, I guess, discipline her grandson, and there's a broken in the skin, you're saying that is abuse?
That is abuse, sir, according to the law.
This is actually news for many parents across the Bahamas. And I must say to you, while it's against the law, I don't know if they're going to adhere to that law. The home I came from in Kid Island now, that form of punishment for wrongdoing was the order of the day. And I really believe it still exists in God's good land, what I refer to as Kid Island.
Yes.
And today I sit here, I wasn't the best child growing up. Many people wouldn't believe that. But I must sit here and tell you today, and that the rod of correction did it. I mean, it's the right way to do it.
Yes.
It did drove a bit of wrath out of me, And while I understand what the law say, and I'm a law enforcement officer,
yes,
biblically, it's a right way and a wrong way to do things. But foolishness is wrapped up in the heart of some of these children. And while I understand the law, we must follow the law. Sometimes they need to be disciplined, so they get the message. We will follow the law.
Yes, I understand. I too.
Can teachers, healthcare professionals, or other mandated reporters be held liable for not reporting suspected child abuse? I think we spoke about that earlier.
Yes, mandatory reporting.
Yeah, you have to report mandatorily.
They must report. Yes, sir.
How are parents or caregivers, how can they be supported to prevent child abuse and neglect?
I think through social service have various programs. They have the parenting program. I realize that a lot of people see it as a negative, and it's not talked about much. But the parenting program, actually, I had the opportunity to go and sit through it, through some joint courses, and I realized it's not just focusing on, say, bad parent. That's not the stigma of it. It's actually trying to realign the whole family structure, because the program focus on the whole family, the child, therapy for the child, as well as the parents themselves, financial stability. They teach them about finances, how to respond to arguments, de-escalation, how to other forms of family bonding. So it focuses on restructuring and rebuilding the whole family as a whole.
And this program, how broad is it? I mean, I'm hearing it. I've never heard about it. Is it taken to the family islands? Is it or the social worker there could provide it platform or provide sessions for persons in the family islands?
Yes, the family islands persons through Department of Social Service, they could inquire about it, and they also give recommendation when they encounter certain situations regarding.
So it's more like a one-on-one, or there are sessions that they have that you are invited to?
No, there are sessions that they have, and they have some, I guess, satellite courses and stuff like that. So there is help out there. We just have to ask and inquire about it. But social service has platforms, and there's other NGOs that also give some assistance, like FOAM. People just see FOAM as dealing with
Murder
murder
victims, right?
victims. No, FOAM also assists reference to family placement. Miss Candy Gibson, we have asked her several times. She had reached out and assisted us, even referring people who needed assistance. So we work jointly with that as well. If you're looking for a person is in a bad situation, we need temporary housing for them, or we need some support. This family need um, some
You
shelter
get it
stuff.
for
She
them.
is there. So there's programs out there, but if we just
Reach out.
reach out. Some churches even have counseling provided. Some of them even have some of these support groups, different sessions that's being offered. We just have to reach out. So the support is out there.
And Ms. Gray, we live in a technological age, and most of our young people have a cell phone, tablet, or something. They are online. We have persons who are online, or we call maybe predators or perverts, who reach out to them, and I guess take away their innocence from them, and they are misled. Could you tell us from your investigative perspective what you're experiencing now, or any type of complaints that are coming into the department as relates from a technological perspective that are affecting our young people?
Yes, well, we now seeing the emergence of these new apps, Snapchat, some Grinder, Facebook. We have kids who are now tapping in, downloading these apps, and a lot of them, if not all of them, are designed for older adults or older kids. But of course, you can create any profile to add or join these apps. So
Yeah.
a lot of kids are doing that. And with that happening is because the apps admission, or more or less the safeguards in them, are just open.
Wow.
So you and I might know that once we go on, we could enable the parental control to stop or prevent children from accessing certain things. However, child go on, the app is just open, so therefore they just open themselves to any adult who may be on there.
And the adults reaching out to them also?
Adults are reaching out to them, and of course, behind these apps, you don't really know who you're communicating with. You could be anybody. I have 3 Facebooks app. I'm a male on 2, and a young child on 1. And it's because in order for you to investigate, you have to know exactly what kids are doing and what they're experiencing.
So what word of advice do you give parents who, and generally speaking, most young child maybe have a technological device. What advice do you give parents? I know some of the parents are not tech savvy, but they can have someone actually, I guess, rectify or fix their child phone to prevent these things from happening. What advice do you give them?
I would say get your child cell phone, go through it, have somebody who knows about cell phones, view their phone, go through it, see what apps are there. If it's Facebook, if it's Snapchat, if it's Instagram, TikTok, what exactly are they putting out there? If your child have a Facebook account, if they have you blocked, why are you blocked? Why can't you access what it is that they're sharing? Snapchat the same way. Who are they talking to on Snapchat? What messages are being sent? You must be nosy, you must inquire as to what your child is accessing and who is accessing them.
Understood. So what can communities do now to prevent child abuse and support families in need, generally speaking? I know you spoke earlier about different institutions they can go to for help, or what can they do if they have any knowledge of any child being abused or being cruelly treated?
They can call the police, call your pastor, whoever you may feel comfortable with. Whether it's through, we have the websites, anonymous tip line, however you wish to report it, but at least say something. Do not sit in silence and allow another child to suffer. Say something, reach out, respond, help, inquire. If you see a child wandering late in the evening, it wouldn't hurt to stop and ask, why are you still on the road? Exactly what is going on?
Thank you so much, Ms. Gray. You've been very informative. I am certain that our listening audience have garnered a wealth of knowledge. me myself have also learned a lot from you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Let's go. Today, we discuss the integral role our guests played in matters relating to police and child abuse. We learn about the definition of child protection and abuse and the legal framework on which it stands. Further, we understand that we must not only be able to recognize abuse, but also take real action. Furthermore, we can appreciate the role the police play in the systems, along with the support in place to protect our children. What we also discovered is that there are legal consequences for anyone who harms or abuses our precious darlings, and they must be made to account for their actions. Since we are all aware of the adage that it takes a village to raise a child, it is most important for us to become aware of society's role in prevention. To our valued listeners, thank you for joining us on Duty. We extend our appreciation to Ms. Gray for sharing valuable insight. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always stay on duty. Thank you.